Good evening. We're going to call the meeting of, you'll have to excuse me, I don't know the date, February 21st to order.
Okay. The City of San Clemente respects the many people of different faiths who reside here. The City Council historically begins its session with an invocation offered by one of the religious leaders of our community with full appreciation of our shared belief that we are one nation under God. And while the city cannot endorse any particular religion, we respect the religious freedom and freedom of expression of all our citizens to pray as they feel led to pray. This evening's invocation will be given by Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
I'm certainly not a religious leader, but I will have an attempt to offer a prayer on behalf of the city. I have asked Councilmember Chris Ham to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance after, so please stand. Our Father in heaven, we stand before thee today as citizens and of this great country and of this beautiful city, and we are deeply grateful and humbled at all the blessings we receive from thee. We are thankful for the rain which we have received. We are grateful for the opportunity it has to provide for us and for the much green that we see around our city. We are grateful for the residents and for all of the wonderful things they do and the families that we have in our town. We are grateful for the military and their public safety public servants who serve us so well and who do so much to protect and to defend us. We are grateful, Father, especially for the opportunity to be free to worship, to pray, to be able to vote, and do all the many great things that we are protected and defended in doing in this country. We ask thy blessings upon the residents tonight, that they may sleep peacefully in their own homes and be able to enjoy a beautiful evening. We ask a blessing upon these proceedings today, that we'll be able to conduct thy business with soberness and with great wisdom. And we also ask a blessing upon all the residents and all of those who require assistance or help, that they may receive it. And we say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Donchak. Councilmember Ham.
Here.
Councilmember Swartz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
And Mayor Ward is absent. First item on the agenda is a presentation by Councilmember Donchak of certificates of recognition to the members of the Watershed Task Force Beach Cleanup Crew.
So while these folks are come up, we would like to wish Mayor Ward well. She is not feeling very well tonight, and so we hope she is feeling better, and we're grateful that Councilman Donchak is pitching in to help out with Watershed Task Force.
So if you all could join me over here. The backstory on this is that Christy McBride Hart was walking the beach yet again, and she noticed these dedicated volunteers who are part of the Watershed Task Force, and she said, you know, this is a really good thing these people do, let's recognize them. And so with the City Clerk Joanne Bade, we have put together some forms of recognition, and I have one for each of you. And what this is, and this is on behalf of Mayor Ward, who couldn't be here tonight, and the City Council, recognition and appreciation for your efforts to reduce litter from the local watershed, thereby helping to ensure the quality of San Clemente's ocean, beach, and land environments. The City of San Clemente is grateful to you for your hard work to help maintain a high quality of life for our community's residents, visitors, and wildlife. And I understand this core group has been doing this for how many years? That's what I thought. That was this is a dedicated group, and they make such a difference. And if you have any doubt in your mind, you should see their buckets and their bags after they've completed their tour of duty. So I have, let's see, Bill Vasilakis, is that you?
Yes.
One for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Not all are here, but.
Okay, Dave Sealand? Not here?
Yes.
Okay.
Take
Okay.
this.
Are you the
I'm the spokesman, I guess.
Joe Zoller?
Go here.
Okay. Paul Miller?
I'll take his.
Dennis Works?
He's not here.
This is a mighty...
They're all cleaning right now, Lori. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Mike Mednick.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, Jerry Amato.
He's back in Ohio.
Okay.
They got dirty
He's
beaches there.
a snowbird.
Ron
that helps us
Stevens.
here.
All right, we have a match.
Thank you.
Frank Spizuoka. Spizuoka.
Thank you.
Thank you. And J.C. Hartley. Okay, good. Now let me have a handshake.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice of you, thank you.
Thank you. And would you like to speak a moment? and
I'd like to
explain
just
what
say
you
a
do?
few things.
Okay.
Bill,
Oh,
you have
and
something you
Bill
want to say
Bill
first?
Hart, who is the chairman of the Watershed Task Force for now how many years? It's got to be at least 12.
I don't know,
Okay.
14, 15.
All right.
Thank you, Councilmember Don Check, and I'm going to introduce Bill Vasilakis here momentarily. I just want to lay some background, and that is that many years ago when the Watershed Task Force began with ex-council member Mayor Stephanie Dory, this activity, the Adopt a Beach activity, was bootstrapped, and it has really made a difference. As you know, and as especially two of you served with me, as you know, on the Coastal Advisory Committee, we kept track of the grades that our beaches were getting. We started with C's and D's, and now our beaches are getting consistently A's and B's as far as cleanliness. It is largely due to the efforts of these people. And so without further ado, and with many thanks, I'd like to introduce Bill Vasilakis, who is the coordinator of the Adopt a Beach team, and I'll let him say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, in addition to the recognition you provided to us, I just want to provide a thank you for providing the recognition, and thank Christy for getting it started and getting the names together and the certificates. And we do this, most of us here do this on every Thursday. We start at the Pico train station, parking lots, down the trail, and end up and have lunch at the Fisherman. So it's a fun day, in addition to each of us generally collecting somewhere around 2 to 3 5-gallon buckets full of trash every week. You'd wonder where it comes from. Every week it's still there. And with the upcoming Earth Day celebration, April 22nd from 10 to 2, we'll have some booths there. And last year I started this thing with the oddities of beach trash, things you couldn't imagine that you would find for trash on the beach besides bottles, cans, cigarette butts, etc. I had 3 tables full. This year I may have more, but if you're interested, come out and see what people lose, toss, forget, can't hit the trash can. But anyway, it's always a very interesting time. I'd also, in addition to what Bill said, also like to recognize Nancy Mavar, who had been with the Watershed Task Force and did a lot of coordination work for many years, and recently has gotten more involved with work and some family elder care issues and had to step down. She's out of town tonight, and I'd like to thank her and 2 other people in the city who've been really helpful to us currently for a long time. Dana McIntosh and her supervisor now, Cynthia Mallett, who provide us with all the equipment. And when we have groups like church groups, youth groups, the Lion's Heart groups that want to do beach cleanup, community service work, they're the ones that help us get the equipment together. I guess I'm the storage manager of the equipment, but anyway, they're a big help, and I would just like to thank them. And then finally, I just wanted to comment on that we're eyes and ears, eyes mostly out there for stuff that may or may not always be seen. And so I just want to thank the city and Cynthia for helping walk me through the city website, that when we see something that needs repair, we can get it into the website. And one lady, I was in the parking lot one day, and she said, you know, thanks for doing what you do. And but you know, someone ought to get in there, and it'd be really good if we could clean up the platform on the train station. And I got that into the system, and a couple of weeks later, there was a pressure washing unit out there cleaning up the train station. And JC and I saw some issues about deteriorating fence on Linda Lane, the north end of Linda Lane Park. And a couple of weeks after I got that in, there was somebody out there cleaning, painting, taking the rust, taking care of the rusted out parts. So anyway, the system works. I just want to let you know that, and thanks for all your support for us, because without the equipment and the support, we'd probably not be doing it. I probably should come back and talk more about it during open time another day, but I just want to ask your support for getting the maintenance done on that bridge walkway, because it needs it. Hopefully it'll make it in the budget this year. And if anyone's car here had that much corrosion on it, it would probably be in the body shop months ago. But anyway, that's my plea. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate your work.
Next is a presentation concerning beaches, parks, and recreation spring activities and the 10-year anniversary of Fun on the Run.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Samantha's not here, so I guess I'll just start. I am Wendy Ann Fernandez, Provisional Recreation Supervisor for the Aquatics area. And today we're just going to take about a minute or two just to talk about our spring activities and 10-year anniversary of Fun on the Run. I'm going to start off with the Ole Hanson Beach Club. We're open, finally, yay. And we are running Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays from 12 to 5, Tuesday, Thursdays, 10 to 2, and Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 12. So we have a lot of really neat classes going on. We have adult classes with health and wellness, and we also have special fishies, which is for our adaptive kids out there. And we have our lap swimmers that come primarily every day during the afternoon hours, and it's our most popular time is between 1 and 2. So we're good. We're loving the Ole Hanson Beach Club. Thank you. It's been great. Everyone loves it, and we're excited for San Clemente Day this Saturday. Then we're going to hear from Peggy Lacayo.
Real quick,
Yes.
how is the club holding up to use? Now, it was beautiful when it opened, but has it been holding up pretty well with all of the use and the swimmers and everyone coming through there?
Yeah, everything's good. We have a few little Band-Aids here and there, but I mean, we're working through them, and staff is great. We're reporting everything. Maintenance has been great on just coming daily and checking up on everything. So we've been really good. It's been holding up.
Need some garbage cans and patio furniture, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
and we will be giving you those.
We
Yeah.
will be bringing the patio furniture to council.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And just, there's big rains. That's one of my concerns for how that was going to hold up as far as all the work we've done around there and all the landscape and everything else. So how did it hold up?
Well, at one point, we had one big pool, which was fun, but we've been good. Everything has been fine. We haven't really had anything major where we had to close down the pool or the locker rooms for anything, so we've been able to manage everything. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. If I could have the slide moved forward to the Fun on the Run display. I'm not sure. Thank you. The next one. There you go. I'm going to talk about the Fun on the Run because it is the 10th birthday of Fun on the Run on the cover of our spring magazine. Fun on the Run has been delivering healthy play to the day of over 2,000 children since the inception in 2007 in our parks, pools, programs and events, and in the neighborhoods of San Clemente. We receive funds from our Kaiser Permanente, the Friends of San Clemente Beaches, Parks, and Recreation Foundation, and the Community Development Block Grants. Helps with the funding so that Fun on the Run can deliver obesity prevention, nutrition education, swim lessons, and scholarships to improve the health, the wellness, and the safety of San Clemente's youth. In 2010, we introduced a new program called Swim and Learn, and offered only to Fun on the Run children. So we have made over 400 children water safe since 2010, and this year, for the first time, we have 16 of the Fun on the Run children actually taking the junior lifeguard swim test to hopefully participate in our beach safety junior lifeguard program. So that is extremely exciting. And the community collaborations, healthy fun, and the focus on safety first is what have earned Fun on the Run the honors of state, national, and international honors. And we're quite proud of all the services that have been happening since these past 10 years. I'd now like to introduce Alexis Honens, our program coordinator, and Leslie Lopez, the program leader.
Hi, great evening. I'm Leslie Lopez, and I work in the Department of Beaches, Parks, and Recreation. And I'm currently leading the Fun on the Run mobile recreation program, where we provide homework help, crafts, and sports, and any activities. And we also provide healthy snacks. For example, this month is Healthy Heart Month, where we last week provided strawberries and blueberries and fitness activities for all these kids. They are enjoying it. They're getting used to eating healthier and, making great choices. And that's what we're there for, so that in the future they can start making those great choices instead of eating other stuff. We visit 4 different locations here in San Clemente. We visit Maxburg Park, which is one of our greatest attendance, which we've had 40 average kids currently right now. And we have a monthly calendar where we state our different activities and our healthy snacks of the month. And many of these kids don't have the privilege to, have be involved in any sports clubs or any after-school activities. And being there for them to motivate them and to encourage them to be a part of any sports or any crafts, they love it and they enjoy it, and they're really, really, really happy that we're there. Every time it rains, we have to cancel. And when they see me around town, they're like, Leslie, why isn't Fun on the Run going? Oh, I'm sorry, the weather. We can't control the weather. And they're like, oh, wow, we missed it. So they love Fun on the Run, and we're here to, support this group of kids that are not able to be involved in any sports and any activities. Again, thank you so much.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm Alexis Honens, and I coordinate the Fun on the Run program and the birthday party packages. In 2013, we added the birthday party packages to the Fun on the Run menu. Ever since, it's been widely successful in the community. Parents are thrilled to have our rec leaders out there entertaining our kids. We offer a variety of themes at several different parks. The most popular theme is a sports party at the Red Barn Park in Talega. Other themes are Carnival, Pirate, Under the Sea Luau, and more. For $150, parents will receive 90 minutes of birthday party games and activities. We average about 1 party a week, and the revenue generated from the parties help support the Fun on the Run program. So thank you.
It's brilliant. That was a brilliant idea. Ladies, thank you for coming out and introducing Fun on the Run. It's a wonderful program. Anyone who's been involved in it. One of the exciting things about this, looking forward 10 years, is what you're going to have is another 10 years from now, all the kids who grew up on it will bring their kids back to participate. That's really exciting times. So we're looking forward to it. Please keep up the good work.
Presentation by Francisco Marmoleo and Susan Reese of Orange County Human Relations concerning Orange County Human Relations activities.
Laura, can we give you those? Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem,
Welcome.
Council members, staff, and members. I'm Frank Marmolejo. I'm a member of the Board of Directors. Sue Reese is my colleague, and I want to thank you, first of all, for allowing us this time. I want to particularly thank the Ms. Bade and her office staff for being so kind. We're here tonight to report on some of the work of our, bless you, by the way, of our nonprofit organization, OC Human Relations, in the city of San Clemente over the last year, and to present you with copies of the annual report, which has been passed out to you. At OC Human Relations, we believe that all people have a right to live free from discrimination and violence, and so we provide programs to help ensure safe and respectful communities. Over this last year, our country has certainly undergone a somewhat contentious election cycle that unfortunately has left some fear and anger and mistrust in its wake. And in light of that, OC Human Relations' mission to build understanding among diverse residents seems more important now than ever before as it continues to contribute to a sense of community in our cities. We do this by partnering up with cities like San Clemente to address their challenging issues, to help ensure meaningful participation of all residents in the decision-making process. As a result, this helps minimize the lack of civil discourse and the mistrust that can make any and every community or police encounter more difficult. Our programs are county-wide. Let me, again, name one, give you a little bit of an example. One is that hashtag HateFreeOC. It's a public awareness and education campaign directed toward creating a hate-free environment in Orange County, to bringing diverse communities together, and to promoting peaceful, inclusive communities where everyone can thrive. But I'd like to share a little bit more information about our programming exclusively here in the fine city of San Clemente. Last year, we mediated 76 cases as well as 17 family mediations in the courts or community where at least one of the parties was a resident of the city of San Clemente. In collaboration with the San Clemente Police Department on hate crimes or with individuals or community groups on hate incidences, we're very pleased to report that we documented no hate crimes and just one hate incident in San Clemente last year. We've worked to build a sense of community among San Clemente residents and staff through our hate crime victim outreach support network. We've conducted 7 two-hour leadership development training sessions to 12 Las Palmas neighborhood parents from September of 2015 through June of 2016. We've assisted with the Park and Recreation Department with their Cinco de Mayo event at Los Mares. We've provided interpretation services in September of 2015 to the Telego Mendocino apartment community meeting. We've recruited residents for Saddleback Memorial Community Health Needs Assessment. We've helped recruit and participants and attended the Vision and Health Expo at San Clemente High. We've supported activities at Jardín de los Mares and at several community activities in Los Mares neighborhood in general. So in conclusion, let me say that OC Human Relations has partnered with the City of San Clemente over the last 25 years. We've done so to bring police and diverse residents together to build safe, respectful neighborhoods, to develop positive relations among the broad spectrum of San Clemente residents, to address any community potential for conflict and strife. We at OCHR have sustained a human relations infrastructure. We do so for, among other reasons, to serve cities when crisis situations occur. Just as your physical and administrative infrastructure assures the comfort, the efficiency, and the harmony of life for San Clemente residents, so too does OCHR's human relations infrastructure, an infrastructure of conflict resolution programs, of trained professional staff that continues to contribute to positive relationships within the diverse communities here in San Clemente. And finally, if the Mayor Pro Tem would indulge us, and if he would please come forward, on behalf of OC Human Relations, we'd like to make a presentation. We'd like to honor the city, its leadership, its staff, and its residents for their fine support for good human relations in 2015 and 2016 with the presentation of this certificate of appreciation and recognition.
Thank you very much. That's lovely. Mind if I read it?
Not at all, please.
Great. So it says that OC Human Relations recognizes the City of San Clemente for its outstanding commitment to fostering mutual understanding among residents and limiting prejudice, intolerance, and discrimination in order to make Orange County a better place for all people to live, work, and do business. Thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you very much, and it's absolutely apparent that the work that you've done, you've not only turned San Clemente into physically and visibly a beautiful site, you've made it an absolutely desired place to live and to interact. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming by.
Next is presentation by Lieutenant Dave Moody, San Clemente Police Services, concerning homelessness in San Clemente.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I'm going to kind of give a 30,000-foot level view of kind of what's going on with the homelessness issue, and then I'm going to hand it off to Joe Bull, who is our homeless liaison deputy. He's the resident expert in this here in the town. Homelessness in the county has hit all-time high numbers, as probably many of you know. There's over 15,000 that we're aware of at this point in time. 4,000 of those are actually unsheltered, so they don't have any shelter at this point anywhere in the county. Joe will get into some more of the specifics as to whether they want help or not and what we're doing to help alleviate some of that problem. What we're doing here locally is we're working with our local chapter, FAM, to try to alleviate some of the problem. We've had dialogue and sit-downs with Mary Purdue. We've also worked with 211. I've got Ellen Glover here in the audience, who's actually been an intricate part of working with the county to try to figure out what we can do to solve this problem. And it's not a problem that we're probably going to solve. We're just going to try to do what we can do here locally to try to alleviate some of the homelessness. And I got to reiterate this. I know you've all heard this, but for the people at home and the residents, homelessness is not a crime. Unfortunately, for some people, they can't accept that, but it's just a state of where some people are at. It's not a crime, so we can't do a whole lot other than what the laws allow us to do to mitigate some of those problems we're dealing with the homelessness. Many state laws have changed recently. For an example, the scheduled drugs that you'll see in the penal code are now misdemeanors. So many of these people that are using drugs, alcohol, and so on and so forth, they're causing problems. We can't put those people in custody. They're not bookable offenses anymore in many cases. Calls for service for police services here in San Clemente have gone up over 15% as they relate to homelessness here in the city. And many of the homeless that we've encountered are more sophisticated than we've seen in the past. A lot of them are actually selling quantities of drugs on the streets, and they've taken up some more areas of sophistication in terms of how they're conducting their crime. It's believed that as a result of Prop 47, some of the numbers I'm getting from the county is that roughly 56% of the homelessness are a direct result of Prop 47. The county relates this as the new face of homelessness as it relates to that particular passage. Law enforcement in California is also dealing with the ACLU. They're pending lawsuits amongst law enforcement agencies here in the South County area. So we have to be really careful what we do and not to overstep our bounds in terms of their personal and civil rights. Some information was passed on to me, and I want to make sure this goes public to everyone about, as an example, in convenience stores. A lot of times it's a location where a lot of the homeless tend to collect themselves together, associate, meet up together, and there's problems sometimes with people thinking that we can go in and ask them to leave a particular business. We can't just go in unless we have the property or the management owner's desire to have them leave for loitering and or trespassing. So I just want to make that aware to you as well. Many businesses don't want to get involved for fear of retaliation also, so that's another issue we're dealing with. I want to be benevolent, and I've given to homeless in the past. Many of us do. I get it. Our heart goes out to many of these people, but a lot of them are using the funds that they solicit for alcohol and drug use as well. So we have to understand that sometimes by giving them, even though we do it with the right heart, it's enabling some of their problems and some of the things that we're seeing on the streets. So with that, I want to hand it off to Deputy Joe Bull, who's our homeless liaison deputy, and he'll go into a little bit further with a PowerPoint. Are there any questions you might have of me at this point?
Any questions for the chief? Thank you so much for the presentation.
Good evening. Okay, we're here tonight, obviously, to talk about homeless within San Clemente. Going forward, I have to read this disclaimer. This following information is based on San Clemente Police Service's contact and experience with local chronically homeless individuals. This information does not necessarily reflect all Orange County Sheriff Contract City trends, statistics, opinions, and views. This is specifically for our city. Our demographics for our homeless. Right now, we're at about approximately 70 plus homeless individuals in and around San Clemente. Now, these are the folks we in law enforcement have contact with. This number is based on averages over the last 5 years with law enforcement contact and an unofficial recent count. That number is not static and can vary by season and other circumstances, obviously. Approximately 85 to 90% of these abuse alcohol and/or drugs, and about 50 to 70% of those exhibit some sort of mental health issues of varying degrees. Issues related to homeless transient activity, a lot of us are familiar with these. There's trash, debris, human waste, fire hazards, public concerns, complaints of unsightly conditions, intoxication, alcohol and drug use, public nuisance, loitering, panhandling, and of course the reoccurring issues. Our challenges for law enforcement and city staff. We often get the question, why can't you take them or send them somewhere to get help or a place to sleep? Our answer is we can. However, most homeless contacted by us and city folk they don't really want our help. They just want to be left alone. We get different excuses, and I have those on the next slide. Common responses that we get: I don't like it there. I don't like the people there. I've tried that before and I didn't like it. They didn't give me what I needed. I'm fine. I've made it this long without help. And the list goes on and on. One thing that I'd really want you to keep in mind too is when we're called out and we have to address these issues and we get some of these folks to move along, they don't just vaporize. They usually end up somewhere else, typically not too far from the original location where we contacted them. So they like the city, they want to stay. So, as Chief Moody had told you, some possible factors contributed to the increased homeless population. There is, of course, AB 109. That's called the Public Safety Realignment of 2011, where the prison population is being reduced. Proposition 47, you've heard that one back in 2014. The reduction of drug and theft crimes to misdemeanors. Sober living evictees and dropouts, we've seen some of those in our local homeless. Word of mouth, they do communicate, hey, San Clemente's a great place. This is a nice place to be homeless. Another possible future contributing factor is Proposition 57 of 2016. This was called the Parole for Nonviolent Criminals Initiative. So, based on what we've seen with the past propositions, we anticipate that this will also add to our homeless population in some form. I want to talk about Phil. This gentleman I've known since I've been working in San Clemente for almost 10 years. He's a longtime San Clemente homeless. He's been here the whole time. He's been on the streets. I did get permission from him to use his story. He is an admitted alcoholic. He drinks daily. He doesn't choose to really take any assistance or, any kind of shelter. And he doesn't display any abnormal behaviors. This is just the life he chooses here in San Clemente, and he's been a fixture here for years. And that's a picture of him there with a raven that would come and visit him. He's one example of some folks that we do have here in the city that this is their chosen lifestyle, okay? Yes, they'll take food, yes, they'll take money, they'll take clothes, but other than that, they're fine doing what they're doing. All right, briefly, I want to talk, I'm sorry, sir.
Deputy, what percentage of our homeless population do you fits that criteria of no real mental health issues, just it's a chosen lifestyle, leave me alone, in that regard?
I can't really put a percentage on it, but if I were to say in my travels over the last 10 years, you have at least 5 or 6 regulars, that stay in town that I have contact with.
Okay, so 5 or 6 that you know by name that have been here for a long time, chosen, no mental health or transitory issues.
Correct. Okay. Briefly, I want to talk about W&I Code 5150. A lot of people think that in law enforcement, hey, can't you just 5150 them? What I want to make clear, and it's highlighted in red on here, I know it's hard to see, I should have used bigger font, but in order for us to place that 72-hour hold on somebody, they have to be a danger to themselves, others, or gravely disabled. Now, there's a lot more written there, but that's it in a nutshell. And other than that, if we don't have that criteria in place, we're basically violating their civil rights, which we're not in the business of doing. All right, trespassing, camping on private property. Again, this has been an ongoing issue. Basically, in a nutshell with this is the property owners have to desire prosecution, meaning they're willing to sign an order of private person's arrest, or they give us a letter on file, and they must be willing to testify in court if need be on a case-by-case basis. So when we're tasked with running people off, as some people call it, of private property, we can't speak on the owner's behalf unless we are requested to do so. We are at their service. So private property is just that. Now, some of these folks that go on private property, are they uninvited? Usually most of the time. But again, we have to get in touch with either the property management or the property owner, and they have to be willing to prosecute. Some of them don't like to do that because they don't want to have to get retaliation from these folks, or they really don't want to hit anybody while they're down, is their perception. Why? They're already homeless. Why would I want them to be arrested or go to jail? So those are some of the issues we deal with on private property. On public property can be city-owned property, Caltrans, public utilities, and each entity must address issues on their respective property. The Sheriff's Department handles city property and can assist other public entities at their request, such as Caltrans. We'll bring issues on Caltrans property to Caltrans' attention, but it is up to them to enforce and regulate. We are at their aid, usually in these cases, but again, if it's a utility company, we'll work in partnership with them. But again, it's up to each individual entity, and obviously we enforce on city property. Yes?
Is this working tonight? Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. Public property, though, what are you able to do when we have them camping, and what we consider public property? Our sidewalk considered public property, bus benches, public property, and what are you able to do to accomplish to help clean up the area?
Okay. Typically, sidewalks, yes, they're municipal, so we can enforce the law on sidewalks. However, we do have many nooks and crannies of this city that I actually have to partner with code enforcement and draw a map and look at the zoning on them to see who's responsible for that property in order for us to enforce. Many times we've enforced on properties that we assumed were city property, only to have the DA reject those cases and say this is not even city property, this belongs to Caltrans or the Water District or other entities. Bus benches, if they are actively waiting for a bus and can articulate that they are, then we will let them do so. What we usually do with those folks is, hey, we're going to be coming back in about an hour and 15 minutes because that'll give you plenty of time for the next bus to come. And if they're still there and they haven't acquired a bus pass, then we'll ask them to move along. Typically, we want these folks to be advised first. Give them an opportunity to leave. The DA's office on many of these cases too are really looking for that opportunity for these folks to be given that opportunity to leave, to vacate that area. So you have to give them that advisement. Listen, you're on public property, you're blocking a sidewalk, it's time to move on. If I have to return here later and you're still in violation, then I will cite you and or arrest you. And that's when we file charges and we give them their day in court. So the challenge lies with prosecution at the DA's office. They want to see that we've given them that opportunity to vacate, which is what we try and do on a regular basis. All right, so what are we doing about it? We've had some individuals who've placed in contact with resources and programs, but you got to know that these are exceptions to the norm in San Clemente. We've had drug and alcohol abuse program completions, placement in transitional housing, work programs. We try and continue guidance and contact with available resources for the homeless, but they're transient, so sometimes they're harder to find, during certain times of the year. We have collaborative efforts by police services, code enforcement, housing and planning, nonprofits, faith, and outreach organizations. We have an ongoing partnership with OC Commission to End Homelessness. We work with 211 on mapping and escort with the focus areas provided for the point-in-time homeless count, which we just did back in January. We continue to enforce the penal code, municipal code, and business and professions code violations, and of course the TRIP team, which I'm a part of. Talking about the TRIP team, some of the things that we're doing, first and foremost, we encourage these folks to take advantage of the available resources. We've placed approximately 6 individuals in contact with various resource entities, FAM, OC211, OC Mental Health, our CAT team. We've sent at least 2 individuals to the North County shelters via bus passes this last winter. I know that's not a huge number, but if you look at, you know, what kind of a win that is to actually get them to leave San Clemente and go to North County on a bus is kind of a win for us. We've always assisted our property owners in management and encampment abatement. Pico Canyon was a big challenge for us, the Marblehead area. We had to go back several times on that with follow-up. We work with marine safety reference encampments and nuisance issues on the beach and trail. Numerous infraction citations for ongoing alcohol, urinating, littering, those things. Numerous misdemeanor citations for drug-related offenses, trespassing, municipal code. We've also made some felony arrests, including a robbery, possession of narcotics for sales, and felonious warrants. So we've had some homeless arrests that were related to felonious activity as well. The homeless element and criminal activity associated remains prevalent within San Clemente and neighboring cities, and this may be attributed to the recent propositions that we've encountered in the state.
Deputy, excuse me,
You want to go back?
what about the, I'm curious about, you said neighboring cities. Have you seen also a similar uptick in homelessness and problems in other cities around? Are we isolated in this because we've got a great quality of life, or are we seeing this in a lot of South Orange County?
Well, we work in conjunction with Dana Point, San Juan quite a bit, so we talk quite a bit, and we do share some of the same homeless individuals. You know, sometimes if they've received a citation or they know they have a warrant, that they'll go ahead and go into San Juan, spend some time there, or go into Dana Point because we're so close. And for the most part, my fellow deputies out there, yeah, we're experiencing quite a bit of the same issues. I'm actually going to our Orange County community officers meeting tomorrow, where it's a collaborative between multi-agencies. And as of the last meeting, yeah, it's something we're seeing pretty much countywide. And coastal cities are seeing the brunt of it, it seems. So, all right, our shelters and local resources. We obviously have FAM, OC211. We have the Mercy House shelters that are open during the winter months. Those are our options, but sometimes I got to tell you, it's pretty difficult to find vacant beds for us. If we actually get a person that says, hey, I'd like to go to a shelter, I'll make an example of the new courtyard in Santa Ana, right across the street from Civic Center. That one's at capacity, and it was almost immediately. We were advised, don't just drop them curbside there because we don't have room for them. So it is a challenge, especially in South County, of finding available beds. Laguna Beach has ALS, but they have local preference, and they're usually always at capacity. So we try and get them to take the bus passes, get them up to the Fullerton and Santa Ana armories whenever we can, or we put them in touch with FAM and OC211 to work on transitional housing. In closing, it is unknown if there will ever be a solution to end homelessness. Until there is, we must continue to manage it as best we can. It is, after all, a community issue, and as you all know, it takes a village. So with that, I'll take any questions you have.
We have a problem or complaints, a lot of congregation around a lot of our convenience stores, 7-Eleven and other stores in town. And I understand that we're having some difficulty with the owners posting and using the trespassing law that the city passed to give you and give them the power to do something about it. So what I want to do is get out to the city and people and understand that if they're going to, be going there for a Slurpee or whatever else, and they're having these issues, if they don't post the property, our hands are tied, aren't they? I mean, if they're not.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, we work, as a matter of fact, we were at 7-Eleven's probably about 3 hours ago, and we were actually looking, and they're not always there. So the thing is they have communication with us. They can call dispatch, they call us out, and they do whenever there's a problem. But unfortunately, we obviously can't be there 24/7. We can't camp out there. So we do advise them, get the no trespass orders on file. When they return, call us. And of course, a lot of these individuals know what's going on when they pick up the phone and call us, and they're in the wind by the time we get there. So that creates a challenge in itself. When we do make contact with them, they are cited. Unfortunately, we'll hit all the 7-Elevens nightly, several times a night, and we're not always, encountering these individuals. So it's a big city. We have other nooks and crannies that we go and look into, but again, we can't set up camp at each 7-Eleven and wait for them to come to us. So.
No, but I want you to know we really appreciate your efforts. I mean,
thank you, sir.
We get inquiries from families, moms, and kids all the time, and they like to feel safe. And your cleanup in the canyons, what you did with Tripp, was fantastic. You did a great job on that, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the presentation, and just as an FYI, when are you going to grow the mustache back? Because
I just shaved it off for Valentine's Day, so I'm sorry I missed you.
You know what? It's just never been the same. It's not the quite same authority, He really commands his own authority, so thank you. Appreciate
Have
it,
a
sir.
good night.
Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communications part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes in which to give his or her presentation. And we have one.
Michael, please come on up. Michael Luna.
Hello, members of the City Council and the City staff. My name is Michael Luna. I'm an architect in town, and I'm here speaking tonight on behalf of the Architectural Guild of South Orange County. I'm here to speak with regard to the court injunction which has been issued prohibiting the issuance of building permits in town, specifically in commercial areas, including mixed-use areas, and also affecting some residential projects in town. We are hoping for a quick resolution to this matter, as this may have serious impacts on our property owners and their contemplated projects. There are indeed many projects in towns which are in the works and require a building permit. Some of these owners have their lifetime earnings, bank commitments, and investor liabilities associated with their property improvements, and they're depending and looking forward and require a building permit. Not to mention, this can have some pretty far-reaching effects on our construction industry. Please do all you can to ensure this matter is resolved as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Could we have a motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions and ordinances?
So move.
Moved by Donchek, second by Ham. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Closed session report, City Attorney.
Yeah, there's no reportable action from tonight, Mayor and Council. However, at the meeting on January 17th, the City Council voted in closed session to approve terms for settlement, the final settlement of the lawsuit that's number 2 under closed session A at Daniel Walker versus City of San Clemente. A comprehensive settlement agreement in that case, and a stipulated order for the court to close out that case and retain jurisdiction was approved unanimously by the council members in attendance. Councilmember Ham was not at that meeting, so the vote was 4-0.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public request removal of an item for separate discussion and action. I have not received any requests for removal.
Okay, let's start with Lori.
I'd like to pull item I and item L.
Okay.
L.
IML. Steve? None by Steve. Chris? None for you. I want to pull item G. Do we have a motion to move the balance?
I'll move
Just move the balance.
to the balance.
Second. Motion by Schwartz, second by Ham. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Let's start, Lori, with item
You're first.
Item G. I'm sorry, I'm first, because apparently the alphabet has stayed in the same order through time, and so I will be first. Item G, I just had a single request on this, and this is an item, contract amendment, which is a preparation of an update to local coastal program and sea level study rise. My only request on this was, and who on staff is represented on this one? Amber, okay. My only request on this is I remember a few years ago when we had a member of our coastal committee came and at that time said that we would be 9 feet underwater in 7 years, if I remember right, and that was 6 years ago. So there's been a lot of hyperbole, and exaggeration regarding this, and I really had hoped in my fondest desires that we would be able to not only measure where we've been, but also what the future will look like. And I'm hoping that's a result of this study, and that we would look at these benchmarks as time goes by and see really, what that's going to look like. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. Good evening, council members. Amber Gregg, interim city planner. And I actually want to introduce to you the contract planner that's working with us specifically on the local coastal program and the IP measures. And her name is Leslie Meyerhoff, and she's the one who is an expert in this and can speak to that, actually.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. To address your question about historical sea level rise and where the projections are going from this point forward, that is going to be the focus of the study. It's not started yet. It should be started later this month with an official kickoff meeting with the consultant team. And we will be looking at a variety of sea level rise projections, a low, medium, and high sea level rise scenario, through the year 2100. And one of the first tasks that we'll be doing is to work with staff to obtain some direction from the city in terms of what specifically they want us to look at. So we don't really have any information to share at this point, but I mean, we've heard the 9 feet, we've heard 5 feet by 2100. There's a lot of variation in the models at this point still. And
Steve.
Well, I have a feeling there's going to be at least one or two members on the city council that might want to know how the sea level rise is going to affect the surf break. So, just thought I'd mention that.
I'm not a surfer, so I hope it just, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's 1 and 2. The question I had for you is so what we have, is it 5, 10 year, 15, 25? How far out are we looking here? Because it's not only immediate benchmarks, but also those in the future. If there's only a single number, 2100, I don't know how compelling that would be to our residents. What would that look like?
okay, well, there's curves. The National Research Council in 2012 developed several curves. So you could pick any given year and see what the projection would be for sea level rise. And we'll probably pick a couple of years to focus on. And then with the other model, the USGS model called Cosmos, we'll be looking at that and looking at some specific effects, potential effects on the coast in San Clemente.
Most of the data is drawn from what, IPCC, or which different bodies and groups it is that you're drawing data to come to your conclusions?
It's a variety, including IPCC and NRC, which is what the Coastal Commission recommends local jurisdictions use, and then, of course, the USGS data, which has just recently come out, and they're preparing an update to that model, which we're expecting to see later this spring. So there'll be numerous sources that we're looking at, and those will all be utilized in the development of the draft report, looking at the vulnerabilities in the city.
And will this be presented back to the city at some point?
Yes.
Yeah, it will be. Okay.
And I sent this in an email. The report is going to look at the effects on municipal infrastructure. My big three are the pier, the railroad tracks, and San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station. And I understand from staff that those last two are really not in our jurisdiction. But to the extent you can be sensitive about the train tracks and the decommissioned plant down the road from us in, your report, I'd really appreciate it, because those are the big three in terms of quality of life, in my view.
I think there was a tremendous amount of data about the plan available through some of the environmental impact reports and other items that they did.
For signs?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so just weave it in so that
Collecting it,
we can
okay.
manage that border.
Great, well, thank you for coming out today. We really appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
wish you luck.
Thank you.
With that, I'll move the item. Motion by Brown, second by Ham. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. Lori, item.
Item I. Okay, this is the Code Enforcement Legal Services, and Eric and I have exchanged a few emails, and I actually have the agreement between Silver and Wright in front of me. And so my question, and I'd like help from my colleagues with this, Mike, this is a different kind of consent item in there's no dollar amount in the fiscal impact. And we collectively have just, strong stewardship for our legal costs. So which is why I asked for the agreement. And so what I'm looking for, Eric, is a way to cap the commitment, or have you bring this back once you've negotiated a dollar amount. But I feel like we need to size this relationship now, rather than be looking at it, down the road and going, oh my gosh, I didn't realize code enforcement was going to cost six figures, whatever it's going to be. So that was my reason for pulling this item.
So it's interesting, because I had a different question for Eric, and I believe you answered this for me. One of my concerns is that the firm would be a little aggressive. So say there was an enforcement action and they could pursue it ad nauseum, building whatever they'd like, and almost have a certain predatory function. And so I was concerned about that. Eric, if maybe you could address that and answer the question as if, that I had placed to you, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Eric Sund, Assistant City Manager. So I'll first touch on Councilmember Donchek, and then I also have Matt Silver here, who can kind of address in a very brief manner the process of what they go through in terms of when they're dealing with a violation. And so, to Councilmember Donchek's point, totally open to having a dollar amount. We don't know what that is because we don't know what the scope is. And so, the purpose of this is, as we write administrative citations and corrective action is not achieved, because keep in mind, the one thing that we want is we want corrective action with the code violation. So we're always seeking compliance. If that compliance is not achieved and the citation stands, then in essence, we would be utilizing the law firm of Silver Wright to address that in the courtroom. And there's also a fee cost or cost recovery aspect to it as well, that they're very successful. So when Matt gets up to talk about the concerns of predatory, he can touch on that. I think to your point, Councilmember Donchek, I would be open to, maybe doing a $30,000 annual contract, and at the end of that year, coming back to the council, or if it goes out sooner, coming back to the council and going, here's what we learned, here's what we need to do, or here's what we don't need to do. The purpose of this was twofold: to have a effective means to dealing with the code violations, and also a fee recovery aspect. And so BBK, and we've worked with Scott on this, is, they're dealing as the city attorney, and their functions from a legal advisory standpoint. This little small specialty niche that Silver Wright has is really nice, because that's all they do, is they just do these on a daily basis for a number of cities. And so with that, I think it's a good segue to give it to Matt for a moment, and then we can circle back with the dollar amount that I addressed.
I have a question for Eric before we get too far into the weeds on this. Eric? So one of the concerns I have with this, or maybe I misinterpreted the way it's going to be handled, but it's not just going to be code enforcement, it's going to be SO delivering some of these citations as well, correct?
SO?
Sheriff's Department.
That's something that we'll have to look at, but that's something that can be addressed as well for citations that wouldn't get prosecuted by the district attorney's office, that we could then prosecute through this as well. That's something that, yes, we could also.
But for the purpose of our conversation tonight, it has to do with me and the code enforcement action?
Primarily code enforcement, but there are other municipal violations within the code that we can write tickets for, we, the city, that the sheriffs couldn't probably write because they probably wouldn't get prosecuted at the district attorney's office.
I saw a bunch of inquisitive looks when I brought that up, so let me just explain to you where I'm coming from with this perspective is there's a lot of things that the majority of us would see as a major nuisance that occurs on a daily basis throughout this community that cannot be addressed or is not being addressed by the sheriff's department because there is no prosecutory arm to effectively handle these issues. So what happens is the sheriff's deputies themselves, for lack of a better term, look the other way. And so they don't address these concerns because there is no follow through on it. And so for us creating a position like this, we have the opportunity now to not only talk to the sheriff's deputies, but ensure that they now know that we have an enforcement mechanism for this so we can get those things.
Through civil action?
Yes.
Yeah, and then will we be using code enforcement?
No,
In order
so
to write the ticket?
No, the beauty of it is the sheriff's deputies would still write the ticket. They would now start writing those tickets knowing that there is an enforcement
We'll
behind
go
it.
into that instead
Yeah.
of going to the county.
Yeah.
Matt?
Thank you. Good evening. Nice to be with you all here today. Scott, nice to see you. Excuse me, my name is Matt Silver. I'm the Silver and Wright. I come from our Irvine office. I think the questions are all very good questions. I'm happy to answer all of them. Perhaps the best way I can start that is just by introducing who we are and what we do. So we're more than a firm that just does code enforcement. We do code enforcement. That's our specialty. That's our passion. But who we are, I think, speaks to how we handle these cases. We work with about 50 cities and counties throughout the state, and so we've got kind of a tried and true practice in specializing in this particular niche area. This is what we do best. My partner is a retired Army veteran, served in 2 wars. I myself come from a family that served in a city management capacity and music teachers and so on. Our staff members are all either members of the populations here in San Clemente, person who manages our office lives in San Clemente, come from their family members to police officers, firefighters, and so on. So we're a collection of folks who are from some relationship to local government. And we do this because we believe in local government, and we've embraced in that. So in terms of how our approach is to members of the public, it's from a public servant capacity. We are public servants. We swear an oath when we take our position to uphold the laws of the Constitution. But on top of that, we do it in a very professional, customer service friendly way. And the reason for that, besides it just being the right thing to do, is that our goal is compliance. That's all we want in these cases. We simply want compliance with the law. We're not looking to punish people for the sake of punishing. We're not trying to make members of the public afraid to deal with their cities. We're quite the opposite. Code enforcement is a good opportunity for cities not only to keep their cities beautiful, like San Clemente certainly is, but also to make sure that members of the public understand cities acting on their behalf. We have tools in the toolbox to deal with this. I sat there through the homelessness discussion. I thought those were some very, very good points and some disturbing trends. Those, of course, are ones we're dealing with everywhere, and there are solutions to all of these things. There are solutions when your neighbor is not tending to their house, or maybe you're a person who's lost the ability to take care of their house and you have a hoarding condition. There are solutions to these, and they don't necessarily have to involve whacking someone over the head with a stick, so to speak. This is about compliance. This is about protecting the community. This is about doing it in a customer service-oriented and professional way. So that's who we are. That's what we do in these cases. Every city has a different perspective in how they want to address these kind of problems. We don't come in and tell cities how to do that. We tell cities what the law is and how we can legally achieve the council's policies. The council sets the policy on what issues are primary importance to the council. We implement those policies. That's our job. That's what we do.
Well, it appears in the write-up that we're being presented is that effectively what you're able to do and accommodate compliance and recovery covers your fees, and that it almost becomes a net zero cost to the taxpayers here. Is that what I'm reading when I read
That's what you're reading. Yeah, that's certainly the goal. I mean, you know, we live in some of the cities that we represent, and so as the taxpayers in those cities, we certainly get the point that it's kind of bad enough that members of the community have to live with some of these violations that go unresponded to even after plenty of notices. And that's only when it comes to us, by the way, is after there's been plenty of opportunities to comply. We're not the first contact. right? We're the last contact. We're the last resort, is trying to get compliance through legal mechanisms. But it's bad enough they have to live with it. Having to then pay for that to be fixed is kind of salt in the wounds. And so the law is very clear that the nuisance properties, the nuisance problems, are supposed to pay for their rehabilitation, as opposed to taxpayers or general funds, which of course have limited, resources there and so on. So yes, that is the plan. The cost recovery rate depends on the tool that's used. When we decide what tools or recommend what tools we suggest the city use in a certain instance, we consider two primary factors. One is, what is likely to achieve the most effective and efficient compliance and enduring compliance? And secondly, which method is most likely to make the taxpayers whole in this circumstance?
And then, will you be coming back with Eric, presenting us with anticipated procedures as far as how you're going to dovetail into city procedures when that's going to occur? So right now, we're talking about starting the relationship, then the city's going to develop the procedures on which we'll then be able to see and approve, correct?
To a degree, correct. As part of the matrix study, if you recall, one of the other primary recommendations was to come up with a code enforcement policy in terms of, I think one of the things that we had found was they just kept writing notices saying, fix this, hypothetically, and there should be a point where, hypothetically, after 90 days, this occurs. If that doesn't happen, then this occurs. So the policy will be drafted and be brought back to council to say, this is the policy we're going to apply to code enforcement violations. And then obviously, as Matt said, there's a certain point where we then say, okay, we went through these, compliance wasn't achieved, now Silver and Wright can take it from there.
Lori, I'm sorry, I did have one more question, but you pulled this item. Did you have any questions for me?
No, I've gotten my answer.
Okay.
And this is a really important way to put teeth into the code enforcement in San Clemente, and so I'm very supportive. And if we can cap it at $30,000 and also ask for a 6-month check-in or a 3-month check-in just to see how it's working.
Are you talking $30,000 to the taxpayers or $30,000 from our expenditures?
And
Because it's a cost.
$30,000 of.
Net cost, in other words.
Yep.
Well, I mean, because if they're recovering it, we don't actually.
No, I was asking for a cap.
Oh, for a cap.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if it's going to go above $30,000.
If they don't recover.
Right. Then it's time for staff to check back in with us to see what's not working.
Is that clear to you?
So I'm going to repeat it just to make sure it's clear. I think it is clear that if we have a $30,000 cap, and if we're going to exceed that in legal costs to the city, we're going to come back to the council.
Before we
incur those services. But if hypothetically I spend $10,000 and then I get $10,000 back, I'm at zero again, so the clock starts again. Okay.
So
Yeah.
my concern is, I think that's understood, and that's completely fine. I'd support that. My concern has to do with, we hear these stories, especially in some of the, confiscation tax cases where, $1 of unpaid taxes leads to an impounding of an entire property and sale of a home. So one of the things I want to make sure with this program is we don't have a $30 code compliance issue that becomes a $1,000 legal cost because they just didn't get their mail, or it's somebody at home who just doesn't read their mail closely is throwing away all the notices. So there's a point where it stops being looking out for the community, it gets punitive. Can you speak to that just a little bit, Matt, about how you would avoid that? Because to me, as a public official, that's what I'm not saying, that's when it becomes overbearing in a sense.
Absolutely, of course. And give you an example, I once got a loud barking citation at my house. I don't own a dog. So I understand the kind of the impact it can happen when you get an erroneous citation or you feel like the city's being heavy-handed, I guess, so to speak. So I completely understand that. Our process always involves continued contact with the owner, right? Even when it comes to us, our first course of action is often to send them another letter. We say, look, we really mean it this time. This, you've noticed, it's now from us, right? It's been referred to us. Here are the exact issues. Here's the way to comply. Here's a deadline by which to comply before we have to go to the next step. So there continue to be options. Looking at the type of violation goes to what tool, again, we pull out the toolbox. And if it's that kind of situation, then the tool in the toolbox needs to be something much less heavy-handed right there, because there is an escalation, of course, but there's a point where the city is kind of spinning wheels to an inefficient result, right? We want to achieve compliance, not achieve punishment for the sake of punishment.
Well, I look forward to more details. Did you have a comment?
No, I just want to say that In a previous city that I was employed with, we used Silver and Wright for this kind of work, and we used them with great success, and we never had any complaints about that sort of issue with them being heavy-handed and predatory in nature. So.
Great. Well, with that, Lori?
So I move staff recommendation, which is to approve and authorize the mayor to execute contract C-17-07 by and between the city of San
Lori,
Clemente.
sorry, I was going to make a comment before you finish reading that recommendation.
Okay. Finish the motion.
Okay. Why don't you make your comments, and I'll just start over after your comments.
So my only concern was that if we're going to move forward with this, which I'm going to support, I think it's a great idea, is that we have an outlet and an opportunity for the sheriff's department to reach out to whoever's going to be the staff member involved. So when we have those habitual violators that in the past were getting looked over, they now know they have the opportunity to take advantage of the situation and the relationship we have. So if we can just direct staff in that to give that opportunity to the sheriff's department, then I think this will be a successful program.
Very good. I move that we approve and authorize the mayor to execute contract C-17-07 by and between the city of San Clemente and Silver and Wright LLP, providing for code enforcement legal services effective March 1, 2017, with 3 provisions. One, that they work closely with OCSD to maximize the impact of the service. 2, that the 12-month cap be set at $30,000, and that the council would be notified if there was a need to go above that. And 3, that we hear back from city staff at the appropriate interval as to how the program is working, given its importance.
Got a motion by Doncheck, second by Schwartz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarek. Last item, item L.
Okay, this is a quick thing. This is the appropriation and transfer to the beach parking impact fee program. It's very important that we have reached this juncture and for this particular issue. What I'd like to propose to my colleagues is that this is the returning of the beach parking impact fees to residents. And what I'd like to propose is that if there are any unclaimed funds, that this is the language, we can talk about it. Any unclaimed funds would be held in a restricted fund intended for capital projects to improve and enhance the North Beach community. And I'd also like to put a sunset on that funding so that it actually gets used sooner rather than later. So the idea is if there are any unclaimed funds, that those monies be dedicated to North Beach.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that that's part of the settlement that we've already come to, that any funds that are not claimed are going to revert back to the city, and what we're doing is we're saying those funds should stay into work for the benefit of the North Beach area, which were originally designated for.
Right, and the second part of what you said is not, that's what I'm proposing.
Right.
The money's already coming back to the city if they're unclaimed.
Right, so we're adding to what I said, we're adding to that.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is that in the spirit of this issue, that the money be directed to the North Beach community for capital improvements.
I would be supportive of that. I don't know about the sunset date. What I would hate is for a future council, they have their handcuffs, and so they're out blowing money on park benches because they're forced to spend the money by a certain date.
I don't feel that strongly. I just know sometimes the money just sits there and sits there.
There are plenty of ways to use it in North Beach.
Plenty of people reminding us.
Yeah.
The only concern I have with that, Lori, is making sure that it goes towards public projects.
Public.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay, so public, okay. So, and the language be, any unclaimed funds will be held in a restricted fund intended for public capital projects to improve and enhance the North Beach community area.
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
You have a motion? That's a motion?
Yes.
It's a second. We got a motion by Doncheck and by Schwartz.
And the motion is to approve staff's recommendation with that additional language.
Before I proceed with that, just check with our city attorney. Are we okay on the details?
Yeah, that's great. We'll have the earmark to track by minute order, and then as you go from budget to budget, a little footnote in there in that fund will help remind council, so you can do that when you adopt your budget this spring.
Okay, we clear?
Understood.
Wonderful. We have a motion by Doncheck, second by Schwartz. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay. City manager? City attorney?
Nothing more tonight, thanks.
Council members?
I would just like to bring up to council and maybe, move forward there's a lot of issues that we've come across that are intertwining with Dana Point and San Juan Capistrano. And I think we need to establish a regular dialogue with the cities. And what I want to recommend is that we create some type of committee that'll meet on a bi-monthly or some repeating basis, where 2 members from our council and 2 members from each of their councils meet, and maybe probably staff or whatever we want to add to it, and just go over some of these issues that we're all dealing together. Just have a place where we can have a dialogue, where instead of having to go through staff or go through public hearings or go through this to try to reach out, that we actually sit down and we're discussing things, and that we can bring them back to each of our appropriate chambers and look at them. So, because I think our cities are so closely intertwined, I think is a very, very necessary thing to do. So I would like to suggest that we to have staff move forward to contacting the other cities and see if they're interested in that, and maybe we can put something together.
Okay, and so you said bi-monthly, you mean 2 times a month?
No, every other month.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, my apologies. I'm like, man, that's a little intense, that's like a council meeting, all right.
Staff just whispered to each other, we're gonna have to bring this back as an agenda item, so I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Consensus on it, you'd have it as a standalone next time, if that's
Okay, all right, so I guess want to agendize a future consideration,
Let's put
okay.
under comments for an action next
Okay,
time. Yeah.
sounds good. Any concerns with that?
This is kind of an interesting next thing, and this is directed to Councilmember Ham, who's our representative on the Animal Shelter Authority. I'm getting, now I've had 3 sets of complaints about dogs off leash on the, not the beach trail, but all the rest of the trail system. And I got a call from somebody this afternoon about 3 German Shepherds that were off leash, and their owner was controlling them with a spray bottle. And so the question I would like to ask is this an appropriate topic for you to take back to the CASA board and come up with an enforcement plan for the trail system?
Yeah, my first question though is you're forwarding those complaints, right? Or you're having them complain?
I'm bringing them to you right now, but I can certainly who would I forward them to, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just have someone call the CASA and file
Okay.
a complaint, and she has an email.
I'm getting
as well.
photos is what I'm getting, so.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that way when there's habitual violators, they can recognize them and give them due warning.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to just send the person directly to you. Okay.
That's one of the biggest things, I don't know, can we talk about this just briefly?
Just a little bit, just as a...
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I've done, Lori, is more responsive, as opposed to proactive enforcement, responsive enforcement. So, it doesn't necessarily benefit us to have a code enforcement officer down the beach trail every day or up at this trail every day. It's more beneficial to have them be reactive to what's going on. So if there is an issue on this particular trail, then we can have them, target that trail specifically, as opposed to just doing a roundabout, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
I'll forward that information.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the spirit of the trails is there for mountain bikers
Yeah.
in the case of the backcountry, and pedestrians, strollers, and dogs on leashes.
Yeah.
And so, okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Chris?
I have nothing.
Okay. So I have a couple of items. The first is to report out on the community engagement panel this last Thursday. We heard from an esteemed seismologist from the Scripps Institute, who spoke at length about the earthquake hazards and the threats that would be to San Onofre, with an incredibly exhaustive report. All of the data in those reports is available on songscommunity.com. To give you my effective feeling about it is that, of course, earthquakes and tsunamis end up being an ever-present concern in the state of California, but the data has come back and has just affirmed previous studies, and matter of fact, lowered the risk level just a bit in terms of some of the risk of the tsunamis and also the faults and what they could achieve. Regardless, the San Onofre is using a defense that is much above the required level. The focus, of course, of this is almost specifically on the consolidated interim storage. That is the absolute most important thing in the community engagement panel, and is doing work in that regard to try and get CIS not only passed through legislation from our Congressman Darrell Issa, but also to make it a reality so that we don't have to really worry about earthquakes because the waste won't be here anymore. So there's a lot of exciting progress to be made in that regard, and I look forward to future meetings. It is a quarterly meeting now, so the next meeting will be in the second quarter, and we'll be covering more about CIS and consolidated interim storage. The second item is this Saturday is the soft opening for our inaugural San Clemente Day, and I believe we have a video. Is that right? So there's a video introducing it to the promo.
Hi, I'm Samantha Thomas, Provisional Recreation Manager for the City of San Clemente. I'm honored to invite you and your family to participate in the first annual San Clemente Day being celebrated on Saturday, February 25th. This all-new day of celebration will honor the history, heritage, and culture of the City of San Clemente. To recognize this historic day, the Beaches, Parks, and Recreation Department are excited to offer free swimming at both of our aquatics facilities. On Saturday, February 25th, you and your family are invited to the newly renovated historic Ole Hansen Beach Club from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Or join us at the San Clemente Aquatic Center with lap swimming from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and bring the whole family down from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. for recreation swim. During free swim, participants can relax poolside, enjoy music, or jump in the water and enjoy pool games with our very own San Clemente Pool lifeguards. Revelers in San Clemente Day will also have the opportunity to pick up free San Clemente swag and giveaways at both celebration sites. We look forward to seeing you at San Clemente Day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. First of all, I'm super appreciative that Samantha did such a great job. I'm also super appreciative that Eric's son was not in that video. So I'm appreciative on two aspects of that video.
Especially not going to the pool.
Yeah, right. And as I'm sure Eric is very appreciative, I'm not in the video as well. So the reason why San Clemente Day, this council supported San Clemente Day is a celebration of everything that is San Clemente. We're all very proud to live here. We're all really excited about it. And the fourth Saturday of every February, we will be celebrating the day San Clemente Day. This is a soft opening, and so this is the first one we're going to have. But next year, on the occasion of our 90th anniversary city, I think we're going to blow the doors out, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So, but we have this Saturday, we're going to enjoy free swims at the pools, a chance to buy a flag at the golf course and fly it proudly, and to enjoy everything that is San Clemente and celebrate our hometown. So I want to thank staff for coming up with some of the means of celebrating it, for supporting it, and to this council for supporting this day. And I think it's the start of a great tradition that's going to be something fun for years to come.
Next year, we'll have the straw hats, right?
I'm hoping next year we could somehow figure out a way to get Baskin-Robbins to play ball, and we could serve chicken dinners and have the Baskin-Robbins, because it was the old sales office, right? And have Baskin-Robbins open. You know what I'm talking about?
Play ball. I didn't get that reference.
Oh, no, to participate with us. And we could do like chicken dinners, like what they did on the day of opening of Ole Hansen. Have a tent out there and have a little block party there. I think it'd be fun. James is looking at me like, don't do that. That's a lot of work. You're full, yeah. But anyway, I think it's exciting. I like the idea. I like the idea of it because I love the city, and if there's nothing I love celebrating more than this great town. So thanks a lot for staff putting this together. Folks, come out and appreciate our great city. Come and get a free swim on those days, and look forward to celebrating our first San Clemente Day.
I normally don't do shameless plugs, but this one was so painful to do, and it's going to be so painful for people to watch. I just thought I'd bring it up. So we did an around town on the traffic calming measures that we're doing in San Clemente. Maybe the media can cover this one. So it's to talk about those really horrible ideas we had. No, don't click on it. No. But for everybody in the audience who's wondering why we delete the center line, or why we have huge curb extensions, or why we did back in parking at Ole Hansen, or why we're doing roundabouts in our community, and all the other horrible ideas we do for traffic, this tells you why we're doing it and the actual benefits that are behind all those things I just listed. So if you're ever really frustrated and really bored at the same time, you can click on that video and figure out why we're doing these things that don't make sense to the average person. But once you see some of the details, you'll understand why.
Chris, I am hoping and praying that YouTube video gets more than 2 views, because I'm pretty sure I was one of those.
It's excruciatingly boring.
One was Chris.
Well, the parade got 200.
One was Tim, right?
You can put that up on the screen, by the way. I want to celebrate this. Let's put the YouTube thing. Is it back up there?
Don't do
folks
it.
Can see
Don't
this
do
at
it.
home? Yeah, no, yeah, bro, I know.
So you just want to roll the number to
This
3.
is a way of so people could fall asleep at home, guys. If you want
That's how
something to go to
entertaining
bed by, you don't need to take any of the Sominex
Tim,
or whatever it is.
what
You
they don't
just
show on
watch
YouTube
Chris.
is it had 5,000 starts, but only 2 complete views. So that's how great it was.
So, yeah, no, actually, you know, but this is good. This is our San Clemente YouTube channel. There's all sorts of good stuff here, especially the cool one is not Chris, but the second one down,
Yeah.
the San Clemente High School Varsity Football Parade, which was a really cool event, and a few other neat things there, so that's cool. All right, Chris, thanks for pointing that out. I will actually try and finish the video this time.
Good luck.
So,
with that, I'm going to adjourn this evening in honor of the 2 deputies, one that lost his life, another one that was injured in Whittier this week. The first one is Keith Wayne Boyer, 27-year veteran of the Whittier Fire Department, and the second one that was injured was Patrick Hazel, a 3-year veteran of the Whittier Police Department, excuse me. Both were involved in a very dangerous shootout, and the community, not only of Whittier, but of California, will miss them dearly. So with that, I adjourn to an adjourned regular meeting to be held on March 2nd, 2017, at 4 p.m. in the council chambers located at 100 Avenida Presidio, San Clemente, for the purpose of considering the long-term financial plan. The next regular council meeting will be held on March 7th, 2017, in the council chambers located at 100 Avenida Presidio, San Clemente. Closed session items will be considered at 5 p.m. The regular business meeting will commence at 6 p.m.
motion by Ham, second by Schwartz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Good night, folks.